This is the DCC Concepts IP Digital DCC point motor. It's arguably one of the best ones on the market available today. My layout is absolutely festooned with them. I have had them on the past 4 layouts I've done, and I have them operated via button and by DCC address. This one has just let me down and failed. I have absolutely no idea why or how it's failed, but I'm going to show you how to swap it out. And it's not as difficult as the big demon nasty boys on the internet will have you believe. We're also going to have some layout updates as well. Come with me, we'll have a little chat. So we've identified that this point motor no longer works. When we apply power to it, it makes a slight creaking sound, like it wants to change address, despite the fact that no command has been given to change the point over. We've done all the usual routine stuff of checking these terminals, they aren't working. The button terminals, the push button activation, you do it, what's the word I'm looking for? Process of elimination. Be sure that it isn't your wiring first. And I am pretty sure it's the wiring because I've used the exact same wiring for this new point motor here, and that one works perfectly with the exact same wiring. So it's just going to be a case of taking that one out and putting the new one in. Well, how do we remove this one? It's quite simple. You just literally take the old wires out and just snap it off. So when you know you're going to put a new point motor in, I always think it's much easier to just actually put the wiring in first, so you're not having to do any of the guesswork and work upside down. The hardest thing we're going to have to do now is just position the new point motor under there and slide it through the baseboard. I'm going to show you with this one, and then when the real one comes, I'm going to put that one in a bit later on. But there we are. This next bit can always be a little bit fiddly, especially when it's a new install or a reinstall. So obviously we're taking the point clips out of this point from before, so it moves nice and freely. Ideally we want this to be about in the middle when we install our new point, just so that it has the best throw fulcrum. But also notice the way the point's orientated to the board, it's at a slight angle. So if we went underneath the board and mounted the point motor like this, that would then in turn reduce the amount of throw that the point motor has. You don't have to get it spot on because they're powerful motors and it doesn't take much to move these across, but try and get it as in line with the flow of the direction of the track as you can. Second, what I've done is I've just got myself a little light, so that when I'm underneath the baseboard looking through it, I can look for the light and I will see the light through the hole. It'll be a lot easier to get to. Now, for keeping the point blades set, there's a few things you can do. You can use a bit of black tack, or you can use pins or whatever. You just want the blades to stay in place, essentially. So I'm just going to pin that down now and then crawl under the baseboard and shove it home. Oh, misses. Yeah, I'm sure you can appreciate how difficult it actually is to get light under here and do this at the same time. I'm going to try and show you as best I can. And remember, get that angle in there if you can. Just press it home for a few seconds. Now these pads are pretty strong, but that should be it now. So we'll get that powered on and give it a test. Okay, that's now installed. You can see we've got this little bit of a peg, the mounting peg, fulcrum arm throw, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the technical name for it. But we have this point set to address number 7. Press the E button and it changes. Lovely job. Next up, we just need to check the polarity is right. Manual focus, come on. By doing that, you can just run a locomotive onto it, and if it shorts out the point, then we know the polarity is wrong and we need to swap it out underneath the board. But that is fine. So, job is a good one. Okay, not as hard as the internet would have you believe, boys and girls. So, Here we are. That's taken me less than a couple of minutes, and you pretty much saw the live install, so it ain't difficult. IP digital point motors, properly worth the money. I think it can always be a little bit annoying when you want to come and spend some time relaxing, and you want to come and use your model railway, and you come to where your layout is, be it your loft or the bedroom, garden shed, wherever, and something goes wrong. And I know we've covered this topic before to varying degrees and levels, and it never stops being frustrating. Now, the most recent thing happened a few days ago. I wanted to come and use the layout, and a point motor had failed. It just wasn't responding to button presses, and it wasn't responding to a digital address. Now, despite trying a factory reset on there, it still wasn't working. One of the first clues that there was an issue with the point motor was when you applied power to the layout, it sounded like it was activating ever so slightly. Anyone that's used the point motor will know that these IP digitals have like a little creep to them, like a as they sort of adjust and tighten up and what have you. And they should be silent when you turn the layout on. And that's what's making me think that there was something not right within it, because that particular point motor has always done that. And it wouldn't surprise me if something is burnt out or shorted out over the time that it's being used. Now, it's never a good thing when a unit of my size has to go crawling around on his hands and knees like a gerbil underneath his fucking baseboard and lifting up and down like a monkey plucking grapes from a tree. But I have to say that whole swap and install took me less than 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I don't think the process can be any easier than that. Thankfully, DCC Contacts have got a wicked awesome lifetime warranty on all their major ranges now. Thankfully, the IP Digital is one of them. Returns process pretty simple, really. You've got a problem, go on the website, send it back to them. They have a look at it, they go, yeah, it's fucked, or no, it's not. And they send you a new one, or they repair the one you have, and send it back to you a couple of days later on. So that's the reality of the situation, boys and girls. Now, I did have a few spare ones already tucked away, but I have used the returns process before, and it's as simple as any of them can get, really. So if you've got any sort of reservations or problems, and it's they're unfounded, and this is another issue. Whenever you see things online in this model railway community that we are part of, and this whole model world thing, there's always the loudest voices come from the fewest people, if that makes any sort of sense. The noisy majority, or should I say, the quiet majority and the noisy few, should I say. And that's the issue. You hardly ever hear when something's fantastic and great and working smoothly, because why would you? But when it goes wrong, that's the time to cause a fucking problem. That's the time to kick and scream and shout on ball. I know I've done that sometimes. And a lot of reviewers and YouTubers are probably guilty of the same sort of thing to a degree. But I always like to think that when I do it, or at least when other people do it, it's for a point, and we can show you what's the matter. And usually it's a bit more rounded, rather than just out and outright shouting and bawling and hissing. To balance it out, this is me showing you the good side of it. Yes, something went wrong, but how good was it that it was fixed and sorted out? At Curascale, very much the same. I had several issues with a few locomotives recently, and of course you send it back and it just gets sorted out. They're another one that have got a lifetime warranty, and I think it's something we need to expect now. I think for the prices we're all paying, boys and girls, we need to demand it. We need to demand it from Hornby, from Bachmann, Hellion, whoever's watching and listening. This is what we now expect from you guys out there. The models are fantastic. Stand by them. Give us that lifetime warranty. The product lifetime warranty, with the original purchase, obviously. You can't be expected to be held responsible for a locomotive that's gone between 5 different people and owners over the course of 10 years. That would be really unreasonable. But if someone's bought one and they've kept it and looked after it and something goes wrong, yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable for you to repair it or look after them. And I'm fairly confident you don't think that's unreasonable either. So, moving on, we're going to have a quick look at the layout updates this week. So this is another of my favourite little scenes that's been done now. This is the sort of like goods yard demonstration area. I've got the fencing up and I know it's all washed out. It's because the only lighting I've got is the camera light from the phone. I haven't got a proper lighting set up in here. I haven't got space for it really. I mean, where am I going to put a camera, a lighting rig in here? There's nowhere to mount it from yet, but this I really like. Because we've got the photographers in place. And they're looking at the goods crane doing its thing. It's just a nice little scene. The sort of like, not wasteland, but the scrubland in between the tracks. Got a tractor there doing some bits and pieces. A locomotive waiting to perform a shunting demonstration. A couple of wagons as well, just waiting on the side to do their own thing. It's good, really good. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think once we've done a bit more to it in terms of just like little bits of detail, some more underbrush and vegetation and stuff, I think it'll look really good once it's finished. Station area, it still needs some, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to get this to work. Station area, all the buildings still in place like they were before. I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything in place before I put lighting in there. Really want to get some platform lighting in, as well as maybe a couple of lights inside the buildings as well. Haven't yet decided yet. That's the Hatton's Acura scale, Andrew Barkley. Love the little model, really well detailed. But it's just no secret that these have been plagued with issues. And they aren't the Acura scale's fault because they bought this from Hatton's, as it was. The Acura scale have actually done a few things to correct that. They've given the lifetime warranty, they've released a new motor clip and things, and they've done what they can. But I think when they release their full version, really good little model. So then moving on from that, we've got this end of the station here, which is the old goods shed, main platform mounted. I'm not sure about keeping the crane where it is, possibly move it along, not too sure. We've got water crane, and then this little bit of scrubland here. I'm not sure what to put in there. I don't know, maybe a couple of vehicles to try to earn them waste, whatever. What do you think? Right, anyway, that's enough for the updates. Let's get back to the main video, shall we? I've done a little bit of work on the scenery side now. We've got some nice grass, or should I say representation of grass and weed work on the siding, so it's not just like a black, bland sort of mass expanse. It sort of looks like an old siding now. Still a lot of work to be done with track weathering and detailing just to really bed it in. But I'm getting happy with it now. So we're almost ready to start installing platform lights and possibly a couple of building lights. And then once that's done, we can look at getting the second layer, or the second tier, if you will, installed. And that'll be good because that'll then mean that I can put lights underneath that bit, which will shine down on the layout beneath it. So the lighting on the bottom part of the layout will look fantastic. And then of course a bit later on I can put a cap on the top of the top layout, and that will then also become a better lighted situation, if that makes sense. The lighting will improve massively. So I'm really excited for that. And it's like I've always said, it's difficult to sort of gauge your process, or I struggle to gauge my process and progress and see how I'm doing with things. And I always feel like whenever I'm doing something or performing a task, usually it just feels like it's going nowhere. And I feel like I'm making mistake after mistake after mistake, despite the fact I've done something 1,000 times before. And then all of a sudden, one or two things will happen, and then it just goes woof, and it makes sense. And the full picture is before you, and the finished article is done, and you can sit back and go, well, that's it. It's clicked, and now it makes sense. Folks, thanks for sticking with me for this long. It's just been a short one this week because I've got a lot of stuff going on at work at the moment. But hopefully next week we should have a nice little video about the folks of you out there who are stuck on DC and why you should come and join us on DCC and why it's not maybe as complicated to get started or as expensive as you might think. Right folks, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that usual jazz. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye. Iron Horse Railways is proudly sponsored by SAWYER Models of Lee. There you will find quality used and new rolling stock from all the major gauges all the way from Z to O gauge. They also carry an extensive selection of scenic items including the WWS Scenic range, from static grasses all the way to grass tufts and all points in between. Of course you can expect friendly service when you visit the store, but of course if that's not your thing or you can't make it to the store, their website carries an extensive range of models and accessories from all the major scales. And thank you once again to SAWYER Models for being our sponsor.